on up, and like George and Wheezy, spring getting its turn at bat as we get you ready for your day.
Getting springy with it.
It is. I mean, look at the map behind us. You can't argue with that.
These two are so giddy about these temperatures warming up. Look at this, 10, 20 degrees above average. That's a big warm up, particularly when you think about where we just came from, that deep freeze. This is going to feel incredible for a lot of people.
It makes you forget everything about how cold it was. Because even in spots where I know, we still have some snow out there, but look at how we're warming up. Chicago, 54.
It seems like we've seen a near 100-degree turnaround. Maybe not quite, but about 90 degrees.
Okay, we've done a 180,
We've done it, exactly. We were 30 to 40 below before. Now we're highs in the 40s and 50s. That's a great sign of things to come.
All right, but are there problems with it? Always. And so we'll get through that. Plus, we do have a couple of big storms to talk about.
We do. All right, well, we have some, no doubt, award-winning weather that are moving on up. And just like George and Wheezy, right? Spring temperatures, and they're getting a turn at the bat as we get you ready for your day.
The Weather Channel getting springy with it. We've got you covered from the outskirts of Philly to South Beach and beyond. And really, this temps are kind of driving the energy we got going today. It's so warm.
It is almost too warm. We're getting there to almost too warm.
Alex,
it's 2-1 here.
I know.
Come on, man.
But wait a minute.
I'm standing my ground, though.
Isn't your favorite temperature like
75?
And
This is true, but I like to see that in July, not in still February.
Then it can't be your favorite temperature. It was depending on what month.
Right,
Come on, man.
Right.
I guess.
Well, we'll work on it. We love you, Alex.
Yes,
we
we
know
do.
that. So, but look, this is a pretty dramatic departure from where we were like a week ago, right?
I mean, some cases, cities like in North Dakota are going to have nearly 100-degree change of what they felt last week to what they'll feel this week.
That's pretty remarkable. We got to look back and see how big of a range that is. Is that up there in the upper? It's got to be in the upper echelon of big turnarounds.
Seems substantial.
In a week?
Yeah, I mean, to go from 35 to 40 below to what highs? No, those are the lows, albeit. So we're not comparing apples to apples necessarily.
Right.
But the lows were 35 to 40 below, and the highs are 50 to 60. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
All right, well, we've got some award-winning weather in today's Big
That
Deal.
arrives will come in some places that just got snow. That includes spots along the Ohio River, all the way to the Outer Banks, and elsewhere in the southeast. If you miss out on the rain, you still might see a few cloudy days this week here. And that's the kind of system that we're going to be dealing with. No snow. Very mild, actually. You see it today. Lots of, almost everyone gets to everyone gets to the 70s here across the southeast. The rain is leaving Florida. Still a few showers left maybe on the East Coast, but it's quickly going away. We dry out. Tomorrow's even warmer. Miami heading to nearly 80. Jacksonville. This is the way you like it, right? For your February snowbirds down here. Now, we're also going to be quite mild in Atlanta, in Raleigh, in Nashville. Nashville 76. Could you be a degree or two warmer? Maybe, but you're going to get a few clouds thanks to this front that's coming on in. This is the same front that Alex was talking about. As it drops down through the south, it doesn't really draw up the moisture. It doesn't have any oomph with it, really. We see some rain showers, Kentucky, West Virginia, maybe into Western Virginia, East Tennessee, but it's not a lot, and it's fleeting, and it moves pretty fast. A few showers, perhaps to end the day there, Thursday into Friday, around Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and eastern North Carolina. But quick. It doesn't leave a lot behind in the rainfall department, so we're not going to be looking at a soaker of a week. Your ground might still be soggy from all the rain that we've had so far this month. I mean, it has been pretty tremendous, especially in Kentucky, where we had a widespread 8 to 12 inches of rainfall. It led to flooding. That really, plus the snowmelt, contributed to so many issues. It wasn't necessarily bad news to get the moisture because we've been running a drought. We still have some severe drought in Tennessee, some dry conditions across Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, still some moderate drought. And so we are going to be dry this week. And, wouldn't be surprised if there ends up being some burn bans and things like that in place as things dry out pretty quickly here. Friday's a dry one. You can see all the way down to Florida. As you look ahead to Saturday, we're still mainly dry out here everywhere, actually warming up a little bit more into Houston. Now, the next system that we'll have to track comes in on Sunday. We'll bring some rain showers to northern Texas and Oklahoma. The rest of the southeast staying dry, but you notice some temperatures start to cool down a little bit as well. So we'll have more details to talk about there. Well, one spacecraft avoided Florida's rain. I can picture the winter that he's had there. Excellent. Well, keep those comments coming. You can just vote in our poll and then share your comments on social media. Also share any pics and video with us using the hashtag YesTV. It goes into the last snow. But, it's a good point to check in and see where we're at. It's been a really interesting winter, especially compared to most recent winters here across the area. Syracuse is leading the list.
It is. And the actual numbers so far this season are the ones in parentheses, right? So Syracuse at 105 inches is leading the pack by a long way. The next one, Rochester at 82. But compared to average, which is the first column, none of these cities are really exceeding averages by a lot.
Nothing stands out. In some cases, we're actually a little bit behind in a few of these locations, but it's interesting compared to where we were from last year. We've really done well in the snow department in almost all these cities.
That's what makes it so notable. I mean, 2 or 3 or 4 times what we had last year at this point in the season, we have this year. So it feels like a real winter.
It does. And I think
been.
Right. Yeah. By cold standards, yes. Yeah. But by snow standards, well, it's kind of hit and miss, right? If you look at this map, which I put up here, showing you the areas where we've seen snow so far this season that have achieved at least 1 foot or greater. So not everybody's contoured here. There are spots here in the blue in New York State, New England, where we've seen a lot. But there are a lot of places it's kind of hit and miss. And when you put the numbers on, it's a lot of miss relative to average in, places outside of the Great Lakes.
Yeah, that's really where we did extra well. That left a lot of us behind schedule.
I know. It's so interesting. Buffalo, I mean, is a good example. You're actually smidge below average. And it feels like you've had a snowy winter. It's much snowier than last year. You had snow every day this year, but 2 days. But yet it hasn't produced these big, epic storm totals.
That's right. We've missed that big, giant winter storm. This has been a combination of storms that have moved basically from west to east fairly quickly. These tracks are a few of them from January, and you can see their movement from the Rockies to the east happened quickly without really winding up into a big nor'easter.
Yeah, and really we saw that continue into February. In fact, even more pronounced, this kind of west to east motion here with these storm systems.
At least these ones were a little farther north because the January tracks were in the south.
Yeah. Interesting point you mentioned about the south, because look at this satellite picture. We would be remiss talking about winter without dealing with what happened in the deep south along the Gulf Coast. This is a satellite picture from late January seeing snowpack right to the Gulf Coast.
Which still, at this point,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it truly is unbelievable what we dealt with there with that system.
When we go and, well, we don't officially give this Golden Snowball Award, but when they do, I feel like we need to make an honorable mention.
Honorable mention to the Deep South. This is potentially a once-in-a-lifetime event that brought a ton of snow. And Alex, explain the good point that you raised here off camera.
I mean, it's kind of a fun thing to think about. But if you were to sort of take these snow totals that we saw here in the Gulf Coast and take how much they saw above their average and then apply that to the cities in the Northeast, we would be talking about thousands of.
Right. Let's just say we average an inch of snow in Evanston, Mississippi. So 5 times your average, I mean. Yeah. Yeah, it's math that doesn't really exist because they don't have averages.
It feels like the South in the snow department won this winter.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, we're asking you in our question. Well, just in time for spring, space is in bloom. We're going to check in with our friends at the Adler Planetarium in Chicago. And today we are joined by Director of Astronomy, Dr. Geza Juke. Thank you so much for joining us. It was, certainly an exciting time, as always, to be looking up.
Absolutely. And again, thank you very much for joining us. There's a lot of talk about the asteroid that will cross Earth's orbit in 2032, so 7 years from now. NASA recently said they now believe it's going to miss us. So I guess the question is, how are objects like this discovered, and how can scientists track them so precisely so far in advance?
Well, they're discovered by a concerted effort.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Dr. Geza Juke, thank you so much, Director of Astronomy there at the Adler Planetarium. You can connect with the universe through its virtual programs by visiting Adler online.
Southeastern VA getting on the snow. Another spot here this winter on the coast where we saw snow covering up the beaches.
I know.
It's the Gulf Coast, and then we had the Atlantic coast there.
I mean, cities in southern Louisiana, Mississippi, the Florida Panhandle.
And the crazy part, it wasn't just a dusting.
Right.
This was significant snowfall, double-digit snowfall.
That's what makes it award-winning, we think. Scott said this,
but then you warm it up. It always is more tolerable when you can kind of go in and out, get some breaks here and there.
Right. It's like jumping in the cold pool, but there's like a hot tub over there you can get into real quick, and then vice versa. Well, keep those comments coming. You can vote in our poll and share where you're at in your comments. Also, any pics and video using the hashtag YesTV, and we will be sharing them on the show.
It's the temps that are moving on up, like Georgia and Wheezy. Spring getting its turn at bat as we get you ready for your day.
The Weather Channel has you covered, and well, it's getting springy with it here from the outskirts of Philly to South Beach and beyond. Temperatures are warming up.
Play the music. Let's play the music.
I mean, that's really all you need at this point. A little music, maybe a nice margarita. Remember yesterday we were talking about?
Yes.
That was the favorite drink. Pairing in terms of weather and drink, 75 and a margarita.
Yeah. Other choices were like 85 and lemonade, hot chocolate and snow. What was the cider?
And cold, I think. It was
yeah.
That was last place.
What would you have picked?
Whatever's warmer.
The warmest. You would lemonade then. For
Lemonade
him.
and 85.
Yeah.
Well, we got the warm today.
We do.
Did this change? Our forecast for Atlanta is now 76. Alex and I were just talking about that.
We were debating going a bit higher now than what we even thought it might be.
Up we go. Look, much of the country now way different than we were a week ago.
This is wild. It'd be such a big change, especially I'm feeling in a good way, people in North and South Dakota, where your temperatures were nearly 100 degrees colder last week.
Yeah,
it feels like anyway,
It was brutal. So for them, enjoy. Although some of them may not be liking this. Maybe it's too warm. I don't know.
Maybe. Yes. 42 in Bismarck. Too warm.
Says the one that 76 is too hot for him.
I will admit, it's going to feel nice for a lot of places here. We talked about this too. 76 in February compared to 76 in June. It's a lot different.
Yes. Your car will be warm. It will be a different feel today than it has been lately. Yeah, so get ready for all of it.
Well, we've got some award-winning weather in today's
Now we're drying out, and the rest of the week, Florida dries out. The rain does arrive in a few spots, maybe some that got snow last week. That includes spots along the Ohio River, all the way to the Outer Banks. Elsewhere in the southeast, if you miss out on the rain this week, you actually could see a few cloudy days maybe, but that's about it. It's not a ton of rain that we're talking about coming in. It's not the big deluge that we just saw yesterday, that's for sure. That is on its way out after maybe a few more showers left along the coast. Most of this is done. Miami dry, 70s. 70s everywhere throughout the southeast here. The sun is out. It is just a spring fever kind of day. You'll have more of that tomorrow. Now, Nashville, you might not be complaining about 76, but could your temperature be a degree or two warmer? Well, you got some clouds out there. And so the clouds are courtesy of this front that is dropping in. Same front that Alex was talking about, actually moving through the Northeast, the Midwest, Northeast, et cetera. This is going to bring a little bit of rain into Kentucky, West Virginia, maybe Western Virginia. East Tennessee, maybe Knoxville. We get a little bit of rain there. Asheville, it's possible as well. And then a couple of showers around Norfolk and the Outer Banks. But it's not a lot of rain. It's a pretty quick-moving area of precip. It's not very heavy. You can see in the forecast, we're not expecting a lot of accumulation coming out of it. Now, it's been a wet month, especially in Kentucky and even northern Tennessee, where we've had rainfall more than 6 to 10 inches, well above average. It's been a soaker in many spots out there. A lot of the month, your lawn was very soggy. We needed the rain. We've made some progress on the drought. We still have drought in place, though, so we could use a little more rain. But I think after the month that we've had so far, this is a nice break, isn't it? We get the sunshine. Friday's forecast looks good. Saturday, we do start to see some cooler temperatures start to filter in. Actually, more on Sunday then. Well, one spacecraft avoided Florida's rain earlier this year.
It's always no fun.
But he speaks to exactly what we were talking about, which is there's no huge event, but you had a lot of these little events.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing we really missed this winter in the Northeast, if you're a snow lover, is a big-time nor'easter. One that, shut down big cities and moved up along the East Coast.
Well, so far anyway.
So far.
Yeah. You've said that all winter long. Well, we appreciate the comments. Keep them rolling. Keep voting as well. And of course, you can send those comments to us by way of social media. If you have any pictures, use the hashtag YesTV.
Let's do a little travel.